Good afternoon, everyone. I pray that your Thursday was filled with spaces and places of joy, of peace, where you could just laugh, like a real belly laugh until tears roll down your face. One of those laughs that you just can't stop yourself from laughing. Those feel so good. I pray that if you didn't have those experiences yesterday, and today you will intentionally find spaces to give you that experience. Because guess what? If you're not having peace, if you're not having joy, you can be intentional about finding it. But that's a whole nother conversation. We're continuing our talk about narcissists, and we've been talking about things you can do if you're choosing to stay in relationship with someone who has narcissistic traits. And again, sometimes it's not so easy just to cut and run. Sometimes your feelings are involved. You may be in love with this person. You love them, you just do not particularly care for their behaviors. So we've been going over some tips that will help you. There are 6 altogether. I did 2 yesterday, I'm going to do 2 today, and then 2 on Monday. Quick review. Yesterday we talked about learn what is and isn't negotiable. Bottom line, what is your bottom line? What will you not tolerate, period, point blank? We all know in relationships, no matter what they are, that there are things that we let go, that things where we need to compromise, but then we also need to recognize that it's okay to have a bottom line, to say, if you do this, if you cross this line, we're going to have to talk about, is there a future for this relationship? We're going to have to define it differently. The second thing we talked about yesterday is knowing when you're being gaslighted. Gaslighted means when the person who you're dealing with, who may have narcissistic traits, they may say something and then later deny they say it or claim that you just made it up. They have you thinking, am I crazy? Did I really hear what I heard? You can go back and listen to yesterday's video for more information on that. Today we'll talk about 2 more. The next one is don't tolerate denigrating emotional outbursts. And let me open that up a little bit. Denigrating means when someone is being really cruel or really mean. My notes say at times you'll be upset with each other and need to let off steam. That is a part of human relationships. Now, some folk who have been traumatized, when someone has an argument, you may get triggered because you remember what would happen when you were a kid, when your parents or your caregivers would get angry. And so you may try to stay away from it, but there are healthy ways to disagree with each other. So there will be times when you will have disagreements and you both may need to express yourself. And so we want to talk about fair fighting. And as I said earlier in another video, a narcissistic trait is they don't really fight fair. They fight to win. And so it's important when you're having these discussions, when you're having these arguments, to keep in mind, if you're being treated with disdain or disrespect, immediately stop the conversation. If someone is calling you names, stop the conversation. If someone is intentionally pushing your button because they know what will really hurt you, stop the conversation. Stop it right there. And then you have a choice. You can let them know how you feel and then change the conversation to how you're being treated in this moment. And your person with narcissistic traits may very well tell you, they may gaslight you, may tell you, you're imagining it. I didn't mean it like that. Because another narcissistic trait is they can be extremely sarcastic. Again, their goal is to win. But you can own your feelings, tell them how you're feeling in spite of what they're saying, express your disappointment. Express your disappointment that they had to go, or that they felt the need to go to that level of disrespecting you, of calling you names, of being sarcastic or being intentionally cruel, and tell them that you're disappointed with them. And then Another option is to ask for an apology. Now, persons with narcissistic tendencies, they tend to really struggle with apologies because, again, that would point to that something they did was not appropriate, something they did was wrong, and they really don't like that. They believe that everything that they do is appropriate, that everything that they do is correct. But you can still ask for an apology. And if necessary, because they're going to try to win, walk away. Just walk away, leave the conversation, and let them know that you will gladly come back to discuss whatever you all were arguing about when you feel like you can be treated with respect. And tell them each time we have a disagreement, if you begin to disrespect me, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you know how I'm feeling. I'm going to share with you my disappointment. And if nothing changes, then we will never, I'm just going to walk away from the conversation. Now, truth be told, that person may follow you, okay? They may continue to badger you, but you can hold your ground, okay? You can't stop them from following you and continuing to try to poke and prod you, but you can manage your own response to it. And you may have to literally leave the environment, maybe go for a walk or get in your car and go for a ride. Anything you need to do in order to keep yourself safe, and also in order to keep yourself, in order so you can better manage your emotional response to this person who you're dealing with. And so the basic thing is, if you can continue to do this each time you argue and they continue to treat you with disdain, they continue to be sarcastic, they continue to call you names, they continue to purposely try to harm you, over time what you are teaching them is that I will not tolerate this. This is my bottom line. When you treat me in this particular way, you have crossed the line and I'm not going to engage with you. And the next one is learn negotiating skills. And so basically what that means is just because the person who you're dealing with who may have narcissistic tendencies wants something and they want it their way, it doesn't mean that they get to have it, particularly if you have a different opinion. Negotiation says, it's kind of like, it reminds me when I'm in a foreign country and you're at the marketplace and you go to buy something and they start off with a price, and then you counter with another price, which is typically lower, and then the two of you kind of go back and forth and you barter until you come to a price that you can agree with. That's negotiating. That's kind of working it through. People with narcissistic tendencies don't necessarily recognize the need to negotiate or barter because they want things their way and they are going to try to do whatever they can to get it their way. But you can, and hear me clearly, you can practice holding your ground. Everything is negotiable. Just because that person in your life says it in a forceful way or raises their voices, it still doesn't mean that you have to give in. You may have to practice some self-talk to yourself and remind yourself, this is just noise, they're just getting louder, everything is negotiable. My paper says you need to know where your power lies and how to convey it and enforce it. And so what you may want to do is learn more about negotiation skills. Let's say if the person in your life is perpetually late, and it's not necessarily because they are procrastinating or whatever, but it's a part of their narcissistic tendencies, which says, okay, you said to the person, we need to be at this event by 7:30. And again, if they had not chosen the event, even if they want to go and they feel like this is a need to exert their control, they may not even start getting ready until 7:25. And you may have found yourself spending the whole time up to that nagging and begging and pleading. Stop that. Negotiation says, okay, if you know that this is what they tend to do, you may want to tell them an earlier time to get ready. You may even want to say to them, this is the time that I am leaving. If you're ready, that would be great. If not, you can meet me there, or I'll let you know what the event was like. So just to review, today our steps we talked about: don't tolerate denigrating emotional outbursts. People calling your person in your life, calling you out of your name, being sarcastic, being cruel to you, using words to be cruel. Do not tolerate that. Set boundaries and let them know how you're feeling, what your boundary is, and if need be, end the conversation and then tell them, when you are ready to talk to me in a way that I feel is affirming, or at least honors me as a person and is respectful, then we can continue this conversation. And then the second thing that we talked about today is learn negotiating skills. Everything is up for negotiation. Just because they're forceful, just because they may raise their voice, just because they may try to overtalk you, everything is up for negotiation. And I'm not saying it's either your way or their way. I'm talking about learning to negotiate. Now, will this be a one-time event with any of these things I've taught you? No, you'll have to be very cognizant and practice it. And as we say, use baby steps. The more you practice keeping your boundaries, the more you practice learning your negotiating skills, the more you practice these things, the easier it will be to access it. So I'm going to end today. I do not do videos on Sunday. I encourage you tomorrow to take time again to replenish yourself. And you may replenish yourself with a worship experience. You may take a nice walk. You may go fishing. Whatever it is that feeds your spirit, I encourage you to do it intentionally, on purpose. Love you all, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Bye-bye.